You.
Darlin Sojak, attorney ad litem for Leila and Shelley Lopez, present, ready to proceed.
Okay. I was made aware yesterday about the motion to mediate, but also in light of the fact that we have a deadline. If the mediation is not successful, then we've run out of our deadline. We would either need to consider an extension, or, and I understand that an extension is not necessarily agreed. And it appeared to the court that we would begin the testimony and then take up the motion for mediation. Is there anyone who objects to that?
Your Honor, I think I like the court's plan because I think that trial date is pushing up against us, but I would prefer an extension. I know the department is opposed to that. I would prefer an extension based on my client's level of compliance. I think she's earned an extension. Also, I do think the reason I filed a motion for mediation is because I do think this case could be settled without and limit the harm to this family. So I guess my preference would be to extend, mediate, have a trial date further out. That'd be my preference.
Mr. Nizam?
Yes, Your Honor. We would respectfully disagree with the level of compliance. We had a methamphetamine positive test, which we'll hear testimony about during the case. We've also had the children who are older give express desires of what they want. We had an informal meeting, which we thought would resolve the case. We kind of had promises, no Rule 11 agreement. Whether it can be, we'll enter mediation in good faith, but we do feel like the recent kind of backtracking of what we thought was an agreement is kind of problematic. We believe that an extension isn't necessary, and for the children's best interest, if we do go to mediation, that we go, if that's not successful, that we have the opportunity to go to a final as soon as possible.
Mr. Sojak?
Your Honor, I would agree with Mr. Nizenblatt. I would like to add that these young ladies here, to a 14, 15, 16-year-old, a year is a long time. And to them, this has already been dragging out. They want this resolved. They want it done. And so certainly we're not opposed to mediation. I think it might do us some good, but we don't want an extension that's going to push this case out for 4 more months.
Okay, so in my mind, it is a distinction without a difference, because even if I granted the extension, nothing would preclude the setting of a final hearing before that 180 days expires. So all, of course, subject to a motion for continuance. Theoretically, starting the hearing, ordering mediation, rather than the 6-month extension, you could do the same things. The one thing that it does allow you, in theory, every case is different, but in theory, Mr. Wilson, it could work to give your clients more time rather than less. You just don't know, and it would only be speculation for me to say anything about that. Does CASA have an opinion it would like to express on that procedure?
Your Honor, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
CASA agrees with the attorney ad litem and with the department. The CASA advocate should be on the line. I'm not sure if she's able to speak or if she's on mute.
We may have left her we may have inadvertently left her in the waiting room.
She's waiting to speak on the kids' behalf, but I was present at that meeting, and I'm aware of everything the kids have expressed to CASA, and I do feel like an extension is not giving them permanency. They have been very vocal about their desires and what they want to happen in this case. And I don't feel like an extension is going to give them the permanency they need.
And since we are going to start the testimony, I'm going to not grant the 6-month extension at this time. We will proceed with the beginning of the final hearing. And since we are going to start with the testimony, Jennifer, would you allow the CASA advocate in? Ms. Elam, who is the advocate?
Her name is Kara Rios.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
as soon as she enters the Zoom. Oh, there she is. Okay, Mr. Nizenblatt, would you like to make any opening statement?
No, Your Honor. I believe we're ready to proceed. The department is seeking the termination of the parental rights of Misty Lopez and Angel Lopez, who we believe are the biological parents of the two children.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, would you like to make any opening statement?
Yeah, Your Honor, briefly. So looking at this case from the beginning, the affidavit on itself is bereft of enough facts to carry this litigation. Perhaps it was enough for removal, but there were allegations really of only drug use by the respondent mother, and she admitted to her drug use. There are allusions to domestic violence, but there's never been an outcry made. There are allegations of verbal abuse from my client's boyfriend. That person is no longer in the household. The evidence is going to show he's no longer a member of the family. And then from that, the department crafted a service plan, which included issues to address her drug use, including an OSAR evaluation, which she did, address her mental health status, which she did. She has a safe and stable home. She has employment. She's undergoing individual therapy. And this is all in the context of this last year. So she does have substantial compliance. The department's going to have, I think, take issue with that, but their own court report says substantial compliance, filed multiple times. So I don't know how they get around that. But primarily, this is, as you heard from the ad litem, 16 and 17-year-old girls that are placed with family. I'm not really certain, why we're putting 16, 17-year-olds up for adoption. You're going to hear that the girls are really bonded, but yet they don't live together. And if the department has their way today, not only will they not live together, but they won't be sisters any longer legally. They will have broken that legal bond to them. I don't know how that's in their best interest. We're not asking today for the kids to come home. We're asking for a conservatorship sharing arrangement, which was the department's plan up until it wasn't. So that's what we're asking the court to do. We would like more time. You're going to hear issues with the service plan that my client had, and we'd like the opportunity to fix those issues. And also fundamentally, my client has wrapped her head around the idea that her children aren't going to live with her. It's taken some time, and it is still taking some time. And I think that if she could process a little bit more time with her individual therapist, we may get to a situation where we don't need to sever this family up for good, that we can do something short of termination and adoption. And I think that's in her best interest. That's in the children's best interest, and that's in the entire system's best interest.
Mr. Sojek?
Yes, Your Honor. Judge, I think the evidence in this case is going to show that originally these children wanted to be returned to their mother after she had got some issues straightened out. However, instead of things getting better, things have gotten worse to the point that now these children don't want to go home. They want their mom's rights terminated and their father's as well. And they're happy where they are and want to stay where they are. And as far as not for good, as Mr. Wilson mentioned, these children are already older. Just because this court terminates rights doesn't mean there's not going to be a relationship between these children and their biological mother. But these children want to exercise some control over their own lives rather than being manipulated by their mother, so to speak. And so we'll be asking for parental termination in this case.
Right, Mr. Nissenblatt, who would you like to call as your first witness?
I'd like to call the respondent mother, Misty Lopez.
Mr. Wilson, is Ms. Lopez in the waiting room?
I don't know, Your Honor. I mean,
Okay. Jennifer, can you see if Misty Lopez is
Yeah.
in?
And we're looking for Misty Lopez, is that correct?
it might be under.
Well, there's a Misty Lopez listed. Is that your client?
That's it. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Judge, I'm sorry, I didn't realize she wasn't with us. Would you mind just catching her up a little bit on where we're at? She hasn't heard anything.
Okay, Ms. Lopez? Hi, can you unmute for a second?
Hi, sorry.
We didn't realize, and I think that was a confusion based on what I actually told my staff. And you were not initially allowed into. What we have done so far is that Mr. Nissenblatt has stated CPS's position. Mr. Wilson has stated your position. Mr. Sojak has stated the position on behalf of the children.
Correct.
There was a request made on your behalf for mediation and also for a 6-month extension. The court has decided to begin the hearing. By beginning the final hearing, we are meeting the statute to do that within a year. And then I am going to briefly, and you're going to be called as the first witness. So as soon as that begins and has begun for just a moment, I'm going to stop. Then I'm going to listen to the attorneys with regard to the filed motion for mediation. And now you've been brought into the room. And I apologize that you weren't in, you could have been in here for the rest, but that's a misunderstanding based on probably the lack of clarity I stated to my staff. So, and your attorney asked me to get you up to speed on what we've done. And I believe that reflects where we are right now. So,
Okay.
ma'am, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Nissenblatt?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lopez, will you state your full name for the record?
Misty Lane Lopez.
And are you the biological mother of the children of this suit?
Yes, I am.
And will you please give the names of the children of this lawsuit?
Rochelle Lane Lopez, Leela Liddell Lopez.
And who is the biological father for these children?
Angel Antonio Lopez.
And where is Mr. Angel Lopez now?
He is currently living in Honduras.
And when was the last time that you know that he saw these children?
He left when they were 3 years old and 18 months old.
And how old are the girls now?
They are 15 and 16.
And has he provided any support, financial support for the children?
Financially, no.
Has he visited with the children?
No, he can't. Unfortunately, no, he can't.
Hey, we're going to recess the testimony at this time. Mr. Wilson, you have filed a motion for mediation. Would you like to address that?
Yes, briefly, Your Honor. I think you've heard my request, but for benefit of my client, as I said before, my client has been approached with several opportunities for settlement. She's wrapping her head around those opportunities still. I think it would benefit the children and my client if we were able, and any other family member, if we were able to reach a resolution without tearing this family apart by litigation. I think it's worth the effort. I think my client has earned the extra time with what she's done in her services and her almost full compliance, which I understand is at issue. So I just think it would benefit, as I said, my client, the children, and our judicial system to resolve this case absent a a protracted litigation that could even whatever the outcome of this trial could alienate family members from each other, meaning that after the state gets finished crossing my client and I cross whoever I cross, those wounds are long to heal, and that would not benefit any post-trial relationship in the members. And so I think we should do everything we can to settle this case. And if not, the courtroom is still here for us. And with benefit of her therapist, maybe my client can get to a position where she might be able to accept something other than her children come to live with her. And I think we would be more than halfway there if that was the case.
Mr. Nisenblatt?
Well, Your Honor, I will say that my client has advised me to the department's unopposed to seeking a peaceful resolution. I think some of the elements that Mr. Wilson discussed regarding adverse impact from an adversarial system, we could avoid that. So at this time, we are unopposed to mediation. I would request from the department's sake that there be time limits, that the mediation be set within 30 days. And being that Mr. Wilson requested the mediation, that he be responsible for coordinating through the proper channels the mediation and dates.
Mr. Sojak?
Your Honor, I too am unopposed to the idea of a mediation for the reasons previously stated by counsel. However, again, I would like to emphasize that because of the age of these children and just wanting to get this resolved, we're asking that this be done quickly, sooner rather than later. And I'm hopeful that you would actually go ahead and give us a new setting for this hearing as well today, Judge, so we know that we can get this resolved and be done.
Okay. Ms. Rios, does CASA have an opinion about how granting or not granting of the mediation request would, as it relates to the best interest of the children?
I also agree with Mr. Wilson that it would be in the best interest of the girls to try to resolve this outside of court. I know that we had an informal meeting and we tried to resolve things, and hopefully we can resolve it in mediation, and then the family can move on and we can get this taken care of hopefully very, very soon.
The court will grant the motion for mediation and will instruct Mr. Wilson to take the lead in coordinating the mediation, and the court, unless otherwise extended, will order that the mediation be set and completed within 30 days of today.
Your Honor, I may not need this order, but I want to request it just in case. I would like the department to continue to be ordered to provide all services to the respondent mother in this interim period.
Okay. Yeah, that they would always be required to, unless they file a motion and get a finding that they would stop, which has happened on occasion, but otherwise they know that they should continue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor,
yes.
This is Oscar Nissenblatt. If we can look in the lobby for Mr. Angel Lopez or the interpreter.
I saw the interpreter, but I don't see anyone by the name of Angel Lopez.
Mr. Nissenblatt, when you say in the lobby, do you mean in the Zoom call or?
Yes,
in the lobby of the courthouse?
No, in the Zoom call, he was supposed to log in.
Okay.
And we have respondent mother present, and so I wanted to give him the opportunity.
Could he be under something else other than?
He might be. I don't know if we can.
Well, I can tell you who's in the lobby. There's a Katie Delgadillo, so it's not Ashley King, Dallas Upchurch, Travis Upchurch, Tina Nunley, Lindsay Doak,
No, that's,
someone with the last name of McIntyre, and Herbrid, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
So does that, do you think all of those people eliminate him?
The ones you mentioned were DFPS employee investigators or our witnesses or the
Now, the interpreter is present in the waiting room. Do you want me to bring the interpreter in? Could he be with the interpreter or no?
Oh no, that's fine. I don't believe they're together.
Okay.
No. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
I say something.
If everyone who is, well, the attorneys in the case, let me charge you with a responsibility that if you know of any way to reach him, and we will also try ourselves to reach out to him if we have some contact information to be able to see if he wants to meaningfully participate and including requesting a court-appointed attorney. So because the mediation has been granted, we will recess this hearing.
Oh, one thing, Your Honor, if anybody has contact information for him, Mr. Lopez, please forward it to me so I can invite him, make sure he's invited to the Zoom.
Philip, can I say something?
No, you can't, Misty.
I'm
No,
sorry. I was trying to explain what he's probably thinking.
no, we can,
I'm sorry.
we'll communicate that with everybody outside the courtroom.
Okay. All right. Thank you. This will conclude this hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your
Thank you, Your
excuse.
Honor.